guys. Knock it off.
I haven't flipped it off one time.
Brian, shut
Brian, I got
up.
one that you're not doing that. Oh, there's one that
Yep. Yep.
Oh, Bubba!
Look at.
All right, did anyone get a good picture?
Quit chewing
Yeah, you
gum.
do. I saw it.
Brad, look at me.
Who are we
Look
looking
at your mother.
at?
Look at your mother.
We have 3 boys and Jennifer. I always wanted a little girl to raise, and we weren't able to have any more after our last child. And so I just prayed for a little girl that needed a home like I wanted a little girl. So we decided to adopt. She was just a little bitty tiny thing with lots of dark hair and great big huge brown eyes.
She just looked up and smiled at us, and she was ours.
And we cried. But it was really emotional, but she was so beautiful.
I was born without legs just purely due to a birth defect. So it's not hereditary. It wasn't due to anything that my biological mother did. Sometimes these things just happen. I never really liked wearing legs. There's a picture of me when I was about 2 years old getting fitted for my first pair, and I'm screaming, and you just see the legs sitting there. And that pretty much represents how I felt about prosthetics throughout my entire life. I climbed trees. I was a little monkey. I loved bouncing on the trampoline. I don't think I ever realized when I was younger that I was a really good athlete. I just loved it.
Look at you.
I was so tiny. Isn't that fun? I just have a trail of dust behind me. Look at this one, look. Every sport that I competed in was all against able-bodied athletes. That never occurred to me to do anything different. Of course I would compete with everybody else. I go to school with everybody else. I live life with everyone else. Where is that?
That's Shawnee National Forest.
Okay.
You was mountain climbing.
I was mountain climbing?
Yeah, that's what you said. You was mountain climbing. You get out of...
My school was 4 stories and there was no elevator. So the school was concerned, how is she gonna carry her bags? How is she gonna go up and down the stairs with everybody else?
I said, you people are teaching her to be dependent on the system and needing help. I said, she can go up and down the stairs faster than you can go.
And I'm so glad because that really set the tone from a very young age.
It's really fun out there when you're really having a good time and showing your expressions and just going out for it like I did at Nationals.
Dominique was definitely my favorite athlete growing up. Just her personality, that little character and sassiness. I knew I was Romanian and I knew she was Romanian. Being adopted, I didn't have anyone that looked like me. So that was really cool, seeing someone that looked like me.
1996, we were watching the Olympics, and she just got really so excited about the gymnastic part.
I mean, it was a huge moment for our country. She was the gold in the Olympics for the U.S., in the U.S. And I was proud because she was my favorite gymnast. I remember falling in love with gymnastics, watching it, and then seeing Dominique, and then it was like, I want to do gymnastics. I want to be tumbler. I want to be involved in this.
She just wanted to be the best she could be, and I think it's because that's the way Dominique was.
I was almost 16 years old, and my best friend at the time was also adopted. She had found out what her biological last name was, and up to that point, I never really had any interest in knowing who my biological family was. When she told me that she found out what her biological last name was, I just got really curious, and I thought, man, it seems so far off and magical. I wonder if my parents know what my biological last name is.
1996, I was watching the Olympics by myself. They were talking about Dominique, and they panned out into the crowd, and it showed her mother and dad. And when I saw the names across the screen, I knew from her adoption papers that that name was on it. Her idol was actually her sister.
We knew it wasn't a good thing to let her know yet. She was too young to have that on her mind. But she could make the decision on her own when she was old enough.
I went home and asked my mom if she knew anything about my biological family.
Well, I was a nervous wreck, and I said, okay, Jen, maybe you should sit down. She said, Mom, I'm always sitting. Maybe you should sit down. I said, okay, good idea. So I sat down, and she said, well, it's no big deal. I just want to know what my last name would have been. And I said, well, that's where the big deal is.
Time out. Can we just freeze real quick? What do you mean? You know something. She goes in and gets this manila envelope just full of papers sticking out everywhere. And she's like, you're never gonna believe this, but your biological last name is Moceanu. I knew she automatically meant Dominique Moceanu was my biological sister. The girl I idolized, the girl I watched on TV, the girl I said, don't we look alike? What if we were related? You're telling me that she's my biological sister? It just doesn't happen in real life. I was so excited because I had sisters. I go on Dominique's website and I see Christina for the first time. And it's like looking at myself with legs. It just motivated me even more to try and contact them. When I started writing the letter to Dominique at the end of 2007, I was just so precise and so careful with everything I said, how long it was. Did I want to tell her I didn't have legs? Did I want to just completely bombard her right then and there? I just thought, keep the no legs till a later conversation. I scanned pictures from when I was a baby all the way until the current age that I was at. And that was powerful. So you had the pictures, you had the proof, and then you had my heart in a letter. And then I just set it off with a hope and a prayer that I would get a response, that the response would be positive.
I said, who is this bubbly handwriting? It says Jennifer Bricker. Is that a fan? How did they get my home address? Sometimes fans do that. I looked at the photographs, and then I looked at the letter, and I started reading it, and I just couldn't believe it when I got down to where it said, my biological last name is Moceanu, Waterworks. I just started crying. It was emotional. I was 9 months pregnant. I could not believe it, but I knew that very moment that it was for real. It changed my life. I had another sister that I could love and cherish and have memories with. But I also had to make up for 20 years, like we don't know each other. I immediately called my mom. I had to get answers. I was in tears and I blurted out, did you give up a baby girl for adoption in 1987? Half awake, half tearful, yes. That's all I needed to know. And I said, this girl contacted me and I wanted to know the truth. But I also knew that I had to make it right, and I had to make it right kind of fast. This young girl's been looking for an answer.
Come up a little bit, good. And slowly down, and come up.
I get a phone call from a number I didn't recognize, so I answer it. And then I hear, hello, Jennifer, this is Dominique. And I'm like, my whole, just stopped, everything stopped, breaks, pause moment. This is Dominique that I'm talking to right now.
I'm really glad that we finally ended up talking, and the way you went about it was really great, and I think that, that made me respect you so much. So thank you for going about it that way.
I didn't know what else to do, and I'm like, you know, I felt like I had like one shot to like make it, you know, make you realize like that I'm for real, you know. And then I decided I should probably tell her I didn't have legs. Might be a good moment. So I just kind of slipped it in there, like, oh, I'm sure you know, but you know, I don't have legs. I was born like that. She was just, you could tell she was trying to play it cool, but there was silence on the other end.
My heart almost sank because I didn't know that. You just found out you had a sister, and then on top of that, she's telling you she had no legs. So I didn't know what kind of hardships that brought for her. I got emotional because I didn't know.
So I was like, oh, it's fine though. Like, you know, it was never a big deal.
And I'm, wow, it's just one of those wow moments. And I get to call you my sister. I was so proud of her for just having a great attitude of, I can do anything that I put my mind to. And that's kind of the same attitude I had growing up with different challenges. But we really share that in common, and that's really a very unique thing. My one most important question to her was, did you have a good childhood?
Oh, you thought I would have the bad life? Okay, that's news to me.
It was important to me. Some coaches use negative coaching styles to try to motivate athletes, humiliating you in front of your teammates and making you feel really worthless as a human being. In our culture, a lot of times it was okay to hit your kids if they didn't behave, or it was a disciplinary action. So a lot of times I was disappointed and hurt by my father's choices. Those kinds of things were really, really rough.
She had the best childhood out of all of us. In our culture, people probably would have been like, oh, you know, she can't do this, she can't do that. And Jenna exceeded so many things. There's nothing that she can't do. I don't think she would have been able to have that mindset of there's nothing that I can't do had she been raised in our family.
Sometimes I wish we could have all been raised together with my family.
So in that May of 2008, the sisters and I, we met at my house in Cleveland, Ohio, and that was our first meeting together. I remember bringing flowers and roses for Jen.
It felt like when you meet your best friend that you haven't seen in maybe a few months, you just pick up right where you left off.
I mean, we were raised in totally polar opposite families, totally different households, and yet the DNA just bonded us.
And not only that, whenever I walked up to Jen, it felt like I was looking in the mirror at my own reflection.
She'd just be like, are you staring at me again? We're like, yes, I am. Talking about makeup and hair and clothes. I didn't have sisters, so that was cool for me. Just that was cool for me.
Jennifer's career has blossomed so much.
In addition to performing, I am speaking as well, getting to travel the world, doing what I love.
I always will look up to her, and she's someone that I'm so proud of. She is a superhero.
It's amazing to hear that. It really touches my heart.
The good old pit, stinky pit.
When I'm with Dominique and we're in a gym environment, that's something that if you would have asked me as a kid, oh my gosh. I could have never imagined that. It will never, ever stop being absolutely amazing.